close to settling that. We believe that the settlement that we're reaching will allow us to save the larger rear tree, the 60-inch, and the remainder of the 43-inch on Lot B would be removed. There's also a second independent arborist report in your folders that was done by Michael Pavlis out of Savannah. We asked him to corroborate or dissent from Michael Murphy's initial report. His report basically concludes all of the same things as Michael Murphy's, but he does insist that the 43-inch live oak needs to be removed as soon as possible. Any questions on that stuff?
Yeah, I want to back up one to, you were talking about the ordinance. In your conversations, in your meetings, are y'all talking about when you put the tree protection up, you talking about how wide it should be?
Yes.
Are you discussing that, reviewing that?
Yeah. So there are tree root
Including that?
protection zone requirements in our code. There are also, depending on the type of development, you know, like this potential development to save the 60-inch, there might still be foundation within a certain amount of feet of the 60 inches root system. So we have taken the advice of Michael Murphy on what a reasonable distance is for that is going to preserve the health of the tree. So all that will be all that is already included in arborist reports and will be enforced on a new permit when it's issued.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Yep.
And the other one on the tree owners also, I know there was some conversation on the mitigation fees and I guess the best way to describe it is appraisal value of a tree.
Yes.
You're still heading down that path?
We're still looking at that. The issue is trees, you know, the value of a tree is almost infinitely, can just grow and grow as the tree ages. So what is, you know, we have to find that middle ground of
Okay.
what is an appropriate fee based on an appraised value. If a tree's worth $200,000 and they're also removing 100 other non-specimen or landmark trees, we just have to find that balance there within the ordinance. So that's being worked on. Again, this task force is heavily environmental activists. We don't really have any developers giving input for a reason, because we've had enough of that to this point. So we're going to find that balance as a group, and hopefully we can find something that you all will think is reasonable.
Good. Thank you.
John, like you said, you're relying heavily on Hilton Head's ordinance. It seems like Hilton Head's been developed pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're about built out, and the trees are still
They're
there,
doing
so,
fine.
you know, it's a promising ordinance to build ourselves off of. And we're also inserting language that's what is the purpose of this? Why are the trees important to our town that we didn't have in the ordinance prior? Anything else on that?
Nope.
No,
Good.
sir. I'm good.
Carol, good? Okay. Good.
Okay. Spanish Moss Trail, I just received the engineered drawings from Ward Edwards at the end of last week. They were submitted to SCDOT and approved at the end of September, or I'm sorry, they were submitted to SCDOT at the end of September for approval. That's about all I have on that right now. I need to figure out what the extent of what our development approvals actually need to apply to that, because it's a different situation than a single private development. So
Okay.
as soon as I figure that out, we'll get them moving, and they should have approval from the town as soon as we can,
Right, but they still haven't gotten approval from the DOT on the revised.
as far as I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way I understand it as well. The county has resubmitted to the DOT with all the information that's necessary, and now we're waiting for them to approve the minor revisions that were
So
asked
just
for.
some small stuff. Don't say anything major out there.
The biggest issue in that is the driveway ingress and egress at Pender Brothers. There is a restriction on distance that the DOT wanted. It's unobtainable because of the properties and structures that are there that can't be moved. A middle point had been figured out, splitting the driveway, having one in, one out, and keeping the structure that can't be moved in place. DOT just needs to approve the spacing between the in and out doesn't meet the exact portion of the manual.
Sure, utilities there, utility bank or something.
There is a telephone bank, there is a stormwater structure that can't be moved.
Okay.
That is part of the DOT, that they, that's theirs. And there is a power pole that could be moved, but not, without moving the other two, the one doesn't make any sense. The property owners, Penders, has signed off and said that they're okay with the driveway split and where it's happening and what it's going, so that's all part of the package that was submitted. That's all part of the package that was submitted, so. Just keep our fingers crossed, we'll get our section point done, and I know the Friends of the Spanish Moss Trail are still touting, they wanna be under construction by the end of the year.
Nice.
By the end of the year, they wanna be under construction, coming across the road, I think we'll all be happy about that.
Safe Harbor, I wasn't present for the meeting this week. I didn't know, Mayor, if you wanted to speak or if we wanted to wait for Van.
Sure, no, I can go ahead and talk about what was discussed this week. We had our monthly meeting, and it appears that maybe the rotation invitations aren't going out, and I'll get that taken care of. I'll get that taken care of, so one of you could join, every month a different council member could join the meeting. No real progress on the neighborhood property that we can speak of, or the village middle between Fish Camp and the far end, nothing there. The permits have been submitted for revised for the marina. They're working with the Corps of Engineers to get those permits moved along. The revision is, in their statement, was mild enough that it should be on a fast track. A fast track for OCRM is not 2 years, it's maybe 18 months to a year. So it's still OCRM fast track in that aspect, but that's what's happening in there. On the property swap, final drafts are with the different attorneys, so we may see something next month on the property swap in that way, and they're moving forward with that aspect. There was some discussion about where the beer garden used to be, because it's now moved off, and what's happening with that property. There was just some discussion about that, and there was talk about.
That's their property,
That is their property,
and that was a former parking lot.
yeah.
And will that return to a parking lot? It's hard to say, can't say.
Hard to say
don't
at
know.
this point, hard to
Gotcha.
say at this point. The Lot G, everybody remembers, G is between Fish Camp and Shellring.
Sure.
There's some activity on that lot. That's all they really talked about it. So that's what I know about Safe Harbor.
Yep.
Meeting again in a month. We did ask them next month. We wanted an update on the Bluff property, a little bit more detailed on the Bluff property, what's happening with that and what's moving forward. We asked for some more details on that.
The only thing to add based off of Van's notes is just that it might be necessary to have an executive session in November to discuss the property swap, depending on where they're at that point.
See it next month.
That's fine.
Rebo Road corridor study. We received a final draft. Well, we received a draft. Steering committee gave comments via email. So the final draft, with maybe some, grammatical editing will be available next week. Trip Muldrow from Arnett Muldrow will be presenting that report to the steering committee and the redevelopment commission on October 17th. That's Monday, October 17th at 4 p.m. That'll be closed with the steering committee and the commission. As soon as the final draft is in our hands next week, we'll circulate it to you all so you can look at it. Sands Beach, I will save for Van. Duck Blinds Pond, I will save for Van.
I think we can say with the sands, the boat landings repairs done.
It's started. I'm not on top of it, that's why
Okay.
I'm skipping it.
Because the boat landing's done, but it's the road now.
Yeah,
road
but the
itself.
boat landings done. I just, again,
Yeah.
county council member here, wanted to say thank
I
you
mean,
for that.
I can read his exact notes into the record if you guys want me to.
No,
but
no,
I-
we'll
I
wait for that.
feel like that's not yet. So duck blinds, I'll let him talk about that too. It has to do with the maintenance of the pond. And then codes, just as a reminder, we added Jeff Fordich to the codes department. He has been
He's
out.
on it.
He's been on it.
He's on it.
I've been working with him really closely, so has Mike. We've been taking care of a lot of things that have been outstanding for a while. So there's definitely an uptick in warnings and tickets. He is out there trying to make sure everybody has a business license, that our signage is nice and pretty in town. People aren't throwing things up on their properties that they shouldn't be without permits. And from my personal experience, it's been going really, really well, so.
I think it's gonna, I've had a lot of public input, a lot of
Yeah.
calls.
Both
to me.
sides, both good and bad.
Yeah, people, and I'm like, you just need to do what you need to do. You need to be
Yeah.
compliant.
Mhm.
That's all we're asking, just be compliant. So thank you.
There's a dumpster fairly close to your house that got moved.
There's several items here that I will skip over for Van as far as CDBG, other federal funds, and the Naval Hospital sidewalk, I'll let him take that. Capital projects, I will just go into a little bit. Brooke and I have been looking at the scope of the sidewalk installation RFP for a week or two now. Again, we've been out in the field measuring widths of every existing sidewalk to determine what width it needs to be to fill gaps. We've been measuring lengths of certain critical areas that we don't have sidewalks at.
Is this one of ours right down on the corner down here? Did we form that up?
On 8th,
Yes.
that is a sidewalk program sidewalk, actually.
I saw it formed up.
Yeah, I think that's CHS home.
Yes, correct.
That was an 8-footer, I
Yeah.
think, that was an 8-footer we did a while ago.
Okay. And it has a curve. I noticed it had a curve.
It is, and I believe he's planning the ramp down to the corner as well. That's actually,
Okay.
the new owner is doing that himself, separate from CHS.
Oh, is he really? That's great.
He was a former contractor.
It looked good.
It does look good, yeah. So what, basically, I mean, what I've been trying to do is maintain that east-west streets are 4 feet wide unless there is some variation in width already on that block, and north-south streets are 5 feet wide. We'd really like to get a full connection from Cypress Wetlands entrance off of 16th straight down to the sands without a break, including the whole way around the school block. All those kinds of things are our priority. That you will notice, I don't know if the map was included in the package or not, but we do have a sidewalk map that Michael Klink is working on for us. We are leaving out a few obvious gaps just because there are blocks and large lots that we anticipate being constructed on at some point soon. Rather than install new sidewalks and then have them damaged by construction, we'd just as soon hold off and wait for those to be, that development to be completed before we work on those sidewalks. And now I can hand it over to Van and tell him the things that I did.
As soon as we mic up, Van.
You did a great job, though.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Mel.
Kevin, you beat Van here tonight. All right.
I know, he's
Want to go to
rubbing
Safe
off
Harbor?
on her.
I did Safe Harbor.
Oh, you did Safe Harbor.
What I touched on Safe Harbor, was, as far as property swap, was that it's getting close, we might see something next month, that there's some activity on G, and that the permit was submitted, nothing on the bluff
Correct.
in that aspect. So that's what, I highlighted those. And it
Okay.
appears the meeting notice is not going to a council member. We need to make sure that rotation goes back in.
Okay.
None of the council got a meeting notice
Gotcha.
for the next one.
Yeah, and there, you talked about the channel issues that we're discussing.
I did not discuss the channel, so go ahead and do that one.
Yeah, so beyond, we dealt with the issue of the virtual buoy for, that the Coast Guard was proposing, but one of the other issues that's come up is despite the fact that we've got significant depth close in, out at the sea buoy, they are seeing some shoaling in, and in some sections, it's 11 and 12 feet deep. And the issue that's causing is that the harbor pilots will only bring the larger ships in during the day and at high tide. So that has a significant impact, not really just on activity at the port property, but anything potentially that might use that access point to get to downtown Beaufort as well. So it's larger than just the port property. So there
This is
are,
at the mouth of the
yes,
sound?
yeah. So,
Between Hilton and, what's that?
beyond just the lack of maintenance on the markers themselves, it's on the, on that. So what the Corps of Engineers is contemplating now is their maintenance budget moving forward. And they're trying to ascertain the importance of maintaining this channel relative to commercial traffic. And, we did an explanation, just to give you an idea. A swordfish boat loaded down draws 11 to 12 feet. So, not thinking about, some of the smaller cruise ships that we saw in and out of here, but just even that sort of fishing vessel could be challenged somewhat, so.
Is that a byproduct of renourishment of the beaches? and then just pushing the sand out into there? or-
I don't know. I mean, that's above my pay grade in terms of knowing oceanography.
Yeah.
But it just naturally occurs, and these things have to be maintained. The reality is that there's been no money set aside for the maintenance of this channel since the port closed the Port of Port Royal back in '04 to '06.
Wow.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't recall any maintenance work being done even then. And I've been here since
Yeah.
2002, so.
Yeah. And the maintenance that was done before that was just to keep the buoy operational and
Right.
stop doing that. And it may be that no dredging needs to be done. I have also heard that it could be that the channel's moved and they just need to find out where it is and then remark it with the buoys. But there's no money to do anything, so Safe Harbor's working on that. It's-
I mean, I think it has importance beyond, like I said, just this. I mean, I realize that the fuel dock for the air station is access to the Intercoastal Waterway, but, you know, what if something happens in that direction? This is
Yeah.
certainly a viable option, so just something to think about. All right, Sands Beach, the county has completed the repairs to the boat landing. Very excited about that. Certainly happy that we didn't see any surge issues related to Ian. We did see significant high tides, and it held up very well. One of the things that we're working on now is Low Coast has cut off that section of pipe that you probably saw that was elevating. So once that has now been recut, they will line that pipe. All that's probably going to happen near the end of October. So we'll have it shut down for a little while we do that work. And then beyond just getting it relined, I was talking to Greg Humphreys with Low Coast, and we're talking about how we're going to some additional work to make sure that sort of thing doesn't happen while we're in there. So
Will that take care of this, will you work on the steel plate, where the steel plate is, that,
all that'll be fixed, and that'll be
and the
gone.
pipe, they just cut that off because it was coming with.
Yeah.
It looks good, you and I
Yeah.
talked about that, but it looks good.
So, yep.
It's flowing nicely this morning.
Duck Blinds Pond, we have changed contractors for maintenance there. As a matter of fact, we have switched contractors for maintenance of all of the Cypress wetland and its system. We've gone with a company that's out of Somerville, more responsive. We're dealing with a little bit of an algae bloom that we just found today in the main wetland, and they'll be down here next couple of days to deal with that. So very responsive and very pleased.
Good.
All right. You touched on Lot G a little bit. We did get an email today from our lawyer who's handling the derelict boats. I think I may have sent you an email, may not have yet, but we're now able to file the motion necessary to get rid of those 2 additional boats. So once that happens, we can start the demolition, repair work, replacement work on the dock. So-
Does that include the one that's currently tied up right now?
Oh, that's the ones.
Okay.
Those are the ones that are tied up.
That one
Those
is
are
a
the
little,
2
and
that
the
we're
little
dealing with.
sailboat.
And the little Gilligan's?
The little
Yeah.
sailboat.
Okay.
And then but then we gotta deal with the 2 on the bottom. That's
Yeah,
part of the
yeah.
dock repair.
Yeah. But once we're mobilized, we'll have.
We'll deal with those 2,
contractors,
we'll deal
yeah.
with those 2 on, as part of the dock
Yeah.
repair.
Good. I'll look at it today.
All right, next is CDBG projects, roll pump sewer. We finally, we did, as I mentioned, I think even last month, secure the easement to accommodate the preserve apartments. We were about to do pre-con with Beaufort Jasper. They made some small modifications. I think Michael is addressing those. I think one of them, at the mayor's suggestion, is something we can do as a field modification, which will accomplish what we need and get that one moving forward. I know the contractor is very ready to start work on this project, so. And I think we're working on reconciling the capacity issues that we're working on with Beaufort Jasper also.
Getting close.
Yeah, getting close. Paris Avenue improvements, I do have the scope of engineering work that entails or includes the conceptual drawings for Paris Avenue itself. One of the things that we were looking at is what would the cost be for the entire overhaul of Paris Avenue. To be quite honest with you, that is a significant chunk of change. We're talking millions of dollars. And I explained to the engineer that that is well beyond what we have available to us. So we're going to take on this first phase. That is the scope of work related to the grant itself. And we're rolling into that the anticipated stormwater improvements that we contemplated that will help with Anchor Park and kind of the pipe elevations we have in that area as they tie into Madrid and West Paris, as well as some of the improvements to the drainage down at 9th, 10th, and 11th Street areas. So I think what we're looking at with our stormwater utility funds available, the grant funding, as well as the CDBG, we're talking about 1.75 million total. So pretty good chunk of change. Probably see improved lighting, improved plantings, improvements in the sidewalks, and improved stormwater.
I guess the only statement that I would have, Van, to consider and for council to think about is, do we master plan it all the way down and only do a phase one construction? So that we have a shovel-ready project
Yeah.
if other funding becomes available. Do we use the time and the energy spending now to do even a surface master plan for consistency on how it's gonna look in that aspect?
Yeah.
I guess talk to our engineers about that. I mean, I
And
just,
I think that's what we're including
Okay.
in the conceptual, that phase one, because we talked about really having it shovel-ready, so that if funds do become available, that's
Yeah.
something that we can
we
pursue.
can do that. And I'd
So that
love
was
to
the-
I'd love to see us, you know, obviously parking is an issue, we've got plenty of it, and I love the on-street parking, but I'd love to see wider sidewalks, and doing that may mean narrower medians in the center, but wider sidewalks, which is where the people use the road. And in that aspect, we want the medians and we want them to look good, but do they need to be 4 foot or 5 feet wide? Can we bring them down to 18 inches and then increase that space on the sidewalks? Let's make sure he understands that, though, we want it to be extremely pedestrian-friendly sidewalks, people can just walk, use it, and even storefronts might be able to use a little bit of it in that aspect. So the medians are great, I love the medians, they're good for us to do stuff, but let's use that space where people can use the space.
Yeah, and we talked about also those, I don't want to call them speed table / pedestrian crossings that will kind of help break up some of that
The
speed.
ones we saw down at, in Charleston were really nice, like those, the way they did the 4 intersection, where the whole intersection comes up in all 4 directions, were very nice. No, you know what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't worry, your planner will be involved in the conversation.
Good, thank you, Noah.
Federal funds grants, we did get submitted the rural infrastructure grant for the drainage that I mentioned, 9th, 10th, 11th, Anchor Park, Madrid, Paris Avenue. I've asked them to pull together a couple of submittals, one primarily focused on some improvements we discussed about the Casablanca area. We did some ditch cleanouts here at the rear to kind of draw some of the water off. But we've got some isolated wetlands that are really on private property that we've got to figure out how to get the water out of those. So we're going to take a look at the Casablanca drainage system as a whole and maybe pull one together for another potential grant. That could be federally funded and that could be a CDBG as well.
Okay.
So, all right. Naval Hospital sidewalk, you know, what you see there is basically a summarization of the email that I received from Megan. You know, I send her a little reminder every month about where we stand. And she has made some contact with the new Public Works officer at the Naval Hospital and this Mr. Leffingwell. Looks like they're going to be doing some work in that area, and so we may have the opportunity to offset that fence line to accommodate the sidewalk that we've been trying to build, I think, since we were chartered in 1874. Anyway,
Feels like that.
and it looks like you guys covered capital project?
We did, don't give us a good update on that.
Perfect
Questions for town manager? Good? Good. So what's left on this is the redevelopment commission incentive program, an update on that.
And I can't really discuss that.
Yeah.
Correct. Good. That's right.
John, should I? Am I good with your turn?
Right button on the side, on the back.
You know, I don't know where that is. Got it. All right. So I actually wasn't, excuse me, I'm getting over something. I actually wasn't at the redevelopment commission meeting where this was brought up and discussed, but I can give you, so if you need a more eloquent introduction into what this program, why this program is being introduced, we can give that to you at a later date. But basically, this is a redevelopment incentive program. It's got a couple different purposes. One, to increase the occupancy of empty and vacant commercial buildings in the town. Two, to encourage greater development density in the downtown area. Three, encourage affordable housing. And four, support annexation of property into the town limits. So really, it's kind of a three-branch program, and I'll walk you through each one of those branches. The first is occupancy of empty vacant commercial buildings. So the gist of this part of the program is that any property owner who is obtaining a vacant or empty commercial building and pays town real property taxes would qualify to receive credits for those taxes. As it stands now in this draft, the cash reimbursements would be paid over the same number of years that the property had been vacant. So that would not exceed 5 years. So if someone bought an empty or vacant commercial building, they could be reimbursed for their property taxes up to 5 years. And that would be time during which that empty or vacant building was continuously available for sale or lease. So that's kind of branch one. Branch two is development of accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. So we already, and this has been discussed widely in the area recently, especially with Victor Dover coming into the city, talking about allowing the type of development that gives people the opportunity for affordable housing. We do that in the town already, and many people take advantage of that. This would provide an opportunity for those who develop accessory dwelling units to receive cash reimbursements for their real property taxes regarding just that accessory unit. That would require an affidavit stating that that ADU is being used for a long-term rental, which we would define the difference between long-term and short-term rentals. And the ADUs could receive property tax reimbursements on that. The property owners could receive reimbursements on that ADU for up to 10 years as long as it's not used as a short-term rental. The third is an incentive for annexations. This one's a little bit confusing to me, but I'll try it. This is Brooks' baby, so I'm trying to do my best here. So basically for the annexation incentive, any property that is successfully annexed into the town could receive a reimbursement equal to 2 times that property's real property taxes based on its current appraisal value. And that would be, and then we would subtract the payments that are remitted by the Burton Fire District. So there's a little bit of a difference there. I honestly am a little bit lost on the nuance of that one branch of the program, so if we need further clarification, we'll have to get it from Brooke when she returns.
The only thing on the annexation one that I would add is whenever we send it for annexation is make sure that they add within the existing growth boundary. We don't want anybody trying to come in from outside the growth boundary because of this incentive.
And this is language that I haven't vetted for those
Yeah,
kinds of
right, I
things
just
yet,
want, just
so-
make sure that that's in
Yeah.
there because we want to honor the growth boundary agreements between the
Mhm.
three, the county, the city, and the town.
Sure. Just to recap, it's reimbursements for vacant building ownership, reimbursements for developing accessory dwelling units, reimbursements for annexing into the town as long as you're within the growth
Okay,
boundaries.
that's great. We're looking forward to seeing the final on this as it keeps working its way through. We're at the point of going ahead to switch to our regular council meeting. Sean, are we going to keep we're going to keep our single recording going?
Ideally, yes.
Yeah, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and adjourn the workshop if everybody's good. Kevin, you good? You got everything you need? We'll adjourn the workshop, and then we're going to go ahead and open up the regular council meeting. Jerry, you do the pledge for us?
I'd love to.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and end our October Town of Port Royal workshop.
Thank you.
End the Town of Port Royal workshop, and now we're going to go ahead and start our regular council meeting. First thing is our pledge of allegiance.
Would you all stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation?
Father, we thank you for this day that you've allowed us to assemble to conduct the businesses of our town. We thank you for this country, this nation. We thank you for those that are here under the sound of our voice. We pray for those that were impacted by the recent storms. We thank you for comforting them, and we thank you for the business that will be conducted on tonight, that it will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Good job, Jeff.
Can I get a motion from council to break from the agenda? I'd like to move, have a little mayor's comment on some of the activities that happened yesterday at the storm last
Make a
week.
motion to break from the agenda.
Thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to take this moment, first of all, to talk about Hurricane Ian and the preparation that occurred and what happened, our staff and what our staff did getting this town ready for that storm. We were as prepared as we could be. I can't be more grateful to the town and the staff and what they did if the storm had come this way. We got lucky once again. I'm happy with lucky. I'll keep doing that exercise every single time, and we will prepare, because the more we prepare, it seems to move it somewhere else. So we'll keep preparing and let that storm get moved on. And I want to thank the citizens for following kind of the rules, kind of staying off the roads when we asked you to in that aspect. Chief and the staff was out all night monitoring. Everything went really, really well in that aspect. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. Thank you, town, staff, council, for being attentive those days and getting ourselves prepared. Second thing is I want to talk a little bit about what happened at Beaufort High School. The reason I think it's important that we bring this up and talk about that sad situation at the high school is I want everybody to know that the town of Port Royal Police Department was on site there. One of our officers, who's been highlighted in the paper, Massey, was taking care of the families, was making sure that things were done. And Chief, I want to thank you personally, Mayor, Council, we want to thank, please make sure the staff knows, thank you for all that you did for those students over there, for the families and the response. That is exactly what we always knew that this community could do, and we showed it again. We'll treat it as an exercise. That's not one I want to do often. That's one we hope never to have to do again, but it clearly, the preparations were done, and globally in that aspect, at how quickly all the different groups came together. And Chief, if you got a second and kind of want to highlight what groups were there to make that unified effort. Nope, I'm good with that. It was everybody.
All hands on deck.
Also, I want to thank you, and I just wanted to make sure that we got that out tonight. Council, anything you want to add, anybody?
No, I was
I
there.
know some
but
of us have some students in the school, so I know it was close on all.
It was close to home. I was there, and I got to talk to some family members and some of the people as well, and just the chaos of the uncertainty at the time. And it was certainly an unfortunate and a senseless situation. But again, law enforcement, first responders did an amazing job. The school district as well with their reunification plan that was well executed. So hats off to everyone for their participation and involvement during that unfortunate time.
I got a comment. I'll just echo what these guys have said, and thank you to the law enforcement and the first responders for their quick response. I believe I heard that we had folks in the building within 3 minutes. And that's pretty impressive. And the clear and concise communication. And thank you to the teachers and to the staff for their courage and just their level-headedness. I too, like Darryl, I was there and I witnessed it, and I was amazed. And thank you to the students who showed bravery and will and courage in the face of just a dangerous and extreme difficult situation. And shame on some of the parents for their behavior. Shame on some of the parents for their behavior. But everyone, the students, the teachers, the staff, the law enforcement officers, first responders, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. All right, so let's get back to the agenda. Next item of business, we got approval of minutes. We only have 2 this time, September 7th and September 14th, workshop and council, regular council meeting minutes. What's the pleasure, council?
I move that we approve the minutes from council workshop on September 7th and council meeting on September 14th.
Second.
We have a second. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
None noted.
Good, very good. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we've got a first reading. Go ahead and introduce the first readings, Pat.
Sure. An ordinance amending chapter 3.5, vote and safety of the Kent Port Royal Code of Ordinances by repealing and replacing to require a permit for mooring within certain distance of public boat landings, bridges, private docks, and marinas, prohibit derelict or abandoned vessels, and giving the Port Royal Police the authority to seize and tow vessels in violation. One thing I wanted to clear up real quick, I did talk to Captain Massey today. We're not going to ask the police department to actually do the towing. We would contract with a third party just as we would any vehicle that's parked illegally. But the intent of the ordinance is that the state of Florida passed some very strict laws regarding boats, and we're starting to see the migration of some of these derelict boats up the coast. This is an opportunity for us to get out in front of it so we don't end up with cluttered waterways with boats. Not that we are prohibiting mooring, we're just saying, hey, you need to do it here, and if you're going to do it, we need to know if you're within our corporate water boundaries that you are properly insured and that you make notice to the town that you're actually going to moor. What sort of timelines are involved? I mean, just take a look at what's in Charleston, right around the city marina. It's just kind of chaos, to be quite honest with you. And this Folly Beach was one of the ones that got out in front of this. Spencer Wetmore, who was a former city administrator, is now a legislator in the State House, is the one that was really an advocate for empowering municipalities, at least creating the legislation that would allow us to adopt this sort of ordinance. And we would kind of be one of the first, besides Folly and a few others, to get out in front of this.
Good, thank you. Questions for Van?
No, sir.
Anybody have any questions? First readings, I normally like to open it up to the public for comment. Anybody have any comment on this? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of council?
I move that we approve for first reading ordinance 2022-12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'll just say real quick, I'd kind of reiterate what Van said. I think it's great when you can be proactive on issues, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I think some of this kind of started to stem when we were trying to clean up the shrimp docks, and all of a sudden, it was, how do you get rid of a boat that you can't find an owner for? And now the town is spending a pretty good chunk of change to fix this situation. So I just think it's great anytime we can be proactive to solve an issue, you know, before it gets better, before it gets worse is great. So.
Yep, I agree. We'll go ahead and call for question. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, it's unanimous. Next, first reading, ordinance 2022-13.
Yeah, an ordinance amending the Town of Port Royal Code of Ordinances to add Chapter 17, Article 3, titled Construction of Utilities and Other Public Works Within the Street Right-of-Way and Easements and Other Matters Relating thereto. This is basically an ordinance that will clean up the encroachment permit policy for the town. Obviously, we had some work recently done in a town-owned road that was not permitted and done by a company that does not have a franchise fee. And so we had an interface with them on Sunday, and they ceased working. That's a nice way of saying it. And we're working on the modification to the encroachment permit scope of work that they will be submitting to us, and we can establish the parameters for when that work will be done, how it will be done. And coupled with this, which you'll probably see maybe next month, is discussion of the franchise agreement with that company that decided to dig in the road.
Questions? Once again, I'll open it up to the public. Hearing none, bring it back up to the dais. What's the pleasure?
Move that we approve ordinance 2022-13. First reading.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're on to our second readings. We've got ordinance 2022-9, an ordinance approving the negotiation and execution and delivery of intergovernmental agreement between Beaufort County and the town of Port Royal regarding the collection and distribution of impact fees for parks and recreation, transportation, and library facilities, and other matters thereto. Before we move forward on this, Ms. Howard, Alice, will you come forward and talk about libraries?
Sure, I'd love to.
I think it's an appropriate time for us to discuss this before we take this next step. By the way, welcome, and you don't, you never need to fill out. forms.
Okay, well, I
Just let
wanted
me
to just
know-
make sure we got
just
to
let
say
me know you
this.
need.
So 1408 Paris Avenue is a building that the county owns, and it has been emptied, and you may have noticed that. That will be, after we do an RFP and some minor renovations and furniture, it will be a new library, so,
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're
Port
real
Royal
excited.
is gonna have a library on Paris Avenue.
on Paris Avenue. And we hope to advertise it, it's got to be advertised 60 days, the furniture, maybe open it July of 2023 is the goal. Because we have to have personnel, and that'll be the
Budget time.
new time, yeah. So, and the board, library board voted on it. It has to go through committee, has to go to full council, but, contact other county council members and encourage them
Yeah,
to
please keep us-
do this, so, yeah,
Keep us
I'll let you
apprised
know
on the
when it
cycle,
goes.
and we'll make sure that we reach out to the
And the
people that need
public
to be
too,
reached out.
so, yeah, I think it's real exciting. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much, and I know you were part of keeping that moving along, thank you. So, now knowing what some of the impact fees are going for, I'll go ahead and ask what's the pleasure of council?
I move that we approve for second reading, ordinance 2022-9.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Resolutions.
Yeah, I do not yet have the comments back from Michael Klink on this.
Okay,
So I don't know that I feel completely comfortable with y'all adopting that resolution. I'm not anticipating any issues after having read the McCormick Taylor letter that the city had done in their evaluation of the new stormwater design manual. But honestly, I would prefer to have Michael's comments.
okay, so let's make a motion to postpone to the next meeting. Don't table, postpone the resolution 7-20-22.
I make a motion to postpone to the next meeting, resolution 7-2022.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Appointments.
We, I understand that, sometimes finding volunteers for some of these things is difficult, but these are things that we need to address pretty soon. Obviously, first, a participant from the town on the new Regional Housing Trust Board.
Not trying to be on.
It's in the newsletter,
Yes.
and we've had no applicants so far.
I got a couple of people I'll talk with you about.
It's great. Talk to them.
Yeah,
Fill out an
To apply.
application.
Application.
right.
Well, council, we all know Wendy Czar has been an advocate. She's a town of Port Royal resident, but she's on the MPC. She can't do dual duty in that aspect. She's going to be on this, I believe.
She's like the county.
She is going to be the county's. She was the county's rep getting it to this point. County's, Alice, am I correct, is going to ask her to be the rep taking it to the next step. So, or else Wendy would be standing right here in front of us right now saying, me, but she can't do the dual duty for 1 to 2. This allows her to keep both seats going forward, 1 county seat and 1 town seat on 2 things she's interested in. So we need to find somebody that's willing to come forward on that. Talk to me a little bit about the Defense Community Partnership Task Force.
Yeah, that's like a subgroup of the MEC. Obviously Jimmy Boozer represents the town for the Military Enhancement Committee. This Defense Community Task Force, Partnership Task Force, will kind of be working, I believe, in tandem with the group that's been hired to evaluate the Naval Hospital.
Through the chamber.
Correct. And so they have asked us to come up with a nominee for this task force.
And that's supposed to be a citizens as well, not a council or staff. Okay. Again, that's in the newsletter already?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see if we can't do some extra posts maybe, just on these two, some volunteer, let's get some posts out there and see if we can't do that, and let's talk these things up in town. All right? Good? Important dates and information.
Yeah, Tuesday, October 11th at 6:30 PM is Parks and Recreation Commission. Monday, October 17th at 5 PM is Metro Planning Commission. Tuesday, October 18th at 4:30 PM is Redevelopment Commission. And Tuesday, November 8th is Election Day.
An election.
And we have a couple more to add.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Tomorrow, ribbon cutting for Ace Hardware.
Very good, thank
o'clock.
you.
What time is
5
it?
o'clock.
5 o'clock tomorrow. at
5
Ace
o'clock.
Hardware.
I'll be there.
And then also, our sister, our neighborly sister, the Shrimp Festival tomorrow and Saturday at the waterfront.
Yeah, I got a
Beaufort Shrimp Festival.
You got something?
Got some to add. It's a few, but it's a busy, fun month. First off, it's a past event, but I did want to say thank you for everyone that volunteered with Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest. I thought that went off really well.
At Shelley.
Yeah. No, on.
Right here.
on
Oh, the
Paris
one
Avenue,
here on
yeah,
Paris Avenue
the
last weekend.
Old Village
There were-
Association.
There were two of them that went
There
on.
was two, yeah.
on
The Old
Woodruff
Village
Park, yeah.
Association,
Like that one.
they did a great job, and I think everyone had a really good time. Kappa, who has their headquarters here in Port Royal, they're doing their ghost tours all month long. They start on the weekends, so it's always a good time. If you do, you might see me volunteering, jumping out and scaring you. But also Saturday, November 15th, Springer Healthcare is having a fall festival from 12 to 3. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but those residents in that community really enjoy seeing people visit them and having a little excitement around there. So there's that. Talking about the election on Wednesday, October 19th, there is a candidate forum at USCB Center for the Arts for City of Beaufort candidates and county council candidates. And then last, the YMCA is having a Port Royal, they're calling it Port Royal Fall Festival, Friday, October the 28th from 5:30 to 7. So a lot of fall festivals, a lot of Halloween, a lot of elections. So
Pass those on and make sure it's stuff so we can get some of those posts out there. I'm sure Sean knows about most of them. We'll get them out there. Any other dates?
that's all I got.
But,
Halloween is on Halloween.
Halloween's on Halloween?
They haven't
We get
moved
calls
it?
every year, what year, when they go home Halloween. Like,
Halloween's on Halloween. Ace ribbon cutting tomorrow. Lowe's called my house wanting to know if I was sick because I haven't been there much. Been switched to Ace. I think that it's classifying me as Norm now. I walk in, hey, Joe's here. Oh, in that aspect. All right, council comments. I'll start on my left. Jerry.
I'm good, sir.
Good. Darrell?
I was fortunate to attend the ribbon cutting of the school, the complete student. And they're doing wonderful things there. The children, a current enrollment of over 80-plus students.
Oh, fantastic.
The staff, they're doing a tremendous job. Every day I see the parents lined up along Southside Boulevard picking them up and so forth, but hats off to that team, and we're happy to have such a program here in Port Royal, grades 5th through 12, with a 100% graduation rate.
Excellent.
That's excellent, and a 99% attendance. That's amazing, so that's great. So hats off to them, and that's it.
Appreciate you going to that. Kevin, anything else?
No, just reiterate what you gentlemen said yesterday about our first responders, and it was great to hear
Amazing.
I wasn't there or anything, but just hearing all the positive feedback from those guys was, makes you proud in that situation. And yeah, we just got a busy month ahead, so hope everybody has fun and enjoy the nice weather.
Stay safe out there. We'll open up public comment. Charlie Calvert. Charlie?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, manager, staff. Thank you so much for your time today. Charlie Calvert, live at, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I can't-
It's for social media, not for you.
Oh, okay, I can't hear out of this here. I'm live at 251 Gautier Place in Pinckney Retreat. First of all, just wanted to share some good news. A great thing that came out positive out of the DRB meeting a couple weeks ago. We were reminded of the historical importance of the Oakview site. That is, we were there to kind of look at what was going on with the development and possibly going to 3 stories on an apartment complex. And many of us found out that this was a site that really was, I believe, maybe forgotten by locals who've been here, but also not even known about by newcomers. That site contains the Heritage Oak 2013 Tree of the Year. That oak is older than the charter of the city of Beaufort. That oak is larger than Angel Oak. That oak is so important to our community, and it was supposed to be protected, and it's kind of had stuff grow up around it. It also is overlooking a grave of a former slave. There's a chance that there are more grave sites on that spot. And so I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, for a great DRB meeting, and also wanted to say that a group of us, I'm probably speaking for dozens of people around the area, just in Oakview, so they don't clog up your public comment. But one of us would come and say, hey, we're working on this right now. We've worked with Open Land Trust and Coastal Conservation and people from across the county, Hilton Head, Bluffton, Beaufort, Port Royal. So what I did was I sent an email to you, Mr. Mayor, and also to the mayor and one council member and both managers of Beaufort and Port Royal, because Mike McPhee, whose family used to own the site, relatives, said, hey, maybe this could be on the next meeting of both of the cities. So I wanted to just let you know that that's where that came from. And also, NOAA had suggested that we could, not suggested, but told us that there is a process to designate something as a historic site. So there are groups of residents collecting signatures right now. We have over the 10 required, and we're going to submit a petition to the Historic Preservation Committee to try and declare that site historic. Also, the property, the developers walked away. It's been listed back on the market, and we're hoping that maybe the Open Land Trust can work with and talk to the owner about getting that property purchased or eased or something like that. So I just wanted to say thank you for the process that worked here in the town, and also let you know that I hope this is on your radar, because I'd like to see this as a passive park. I've spent my whole life in tourism. I don't want to see this as a big tourism site, but I think that people should be able to come see this. It protects our watershed. It goes right down to the Battery Creek, and there's, I think, over 32 specimen oaks there. So I hope you all will maybe go out there and take a look at it and hopefully help us protect that site. Thank you very much.
No, thank you,
Thank
Charlie. I
you.
appreciate keep us updated. Keep those emails coming. I visited the site, and it is impressive.
Thank you, Charlie.
My neighborhood, Cunningham, has a Facebook page. Y'all can sign up, save the Port Royal Oak.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, say the Port Royal Heritage.
Heritage Oak, okay. We'll find that. Any other public comment?
Where can I find $1.6 million?
If I could find $1.6 million, yeah, you're heading down the right path, what you've done. Keep going.
Yeah, we have a line up for lottery tickets. We buy.
We'll buy a few, that's it. Any other, Jesse, you have anything, or just here? Okay, just want to make sure. All right, if that's it, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So move. We have to vote because we did change from the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.